Hey everyone, I'm Adam Caesar. Today we're going to be talking about barbecues and summer camp and beaches and all the kinds of things that we enjoy doing over the summer. That's not actually true. What we're going to be talking about are 5 or 6 horror reads recommendations for the summertime, things that I think will get you in the summer mood or will offset your summer mood if you've had a little too much sun. As a guy that dresses like I do and is interested in the things that I do and has a YouTube channel called Project Black T-Shirt, you're probably thinking, Adam, you don't seem like a guy that goes out into the sun very often, and you'd be right. But the summertime is the one time I break that rule. I kind of like sitting out on the porch. I like going to the Jersey Shore because I'm in Philly, so it's a nice little drive over there. While I'm doing these things, while I'm doing these outdoorsy activities, I like to read. Reading is one of my favorite things to do over the summer because generally, over the summer, I have more time to do that, and it's one of those things I look forward to all year. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank Walker Films, a fellow YouTuber who commented on one of my other book recommendation videos and asked for a summer list, a summer reading list. One other thing, I don't have physical books for most of these titles that I'm going to talk about. I have ebooks and audiobooks. So instead of holding out the grayscale cover of my Kindle and being like, oh, this is the one you should kind of see with the glare on it, I'm going to flash up the book cover afterwards, edit it in. If some of these books sound exciting to you and you want to check them out, I'll put Amazon links in the description. Click through. It helps the channel out. It helps me out if you use those links. So thank you in advance for that. Kind of paradoxically, but when I think of summer, I think of school. I think of the absence of school. I think of not being in school and how great that used to be before I entered the doldrums of real life, real adult life. The first book that I want to recommend is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Now, this is a book where, especially the new cover that, the new paperback cover that Quirk Books has put out with it that looks kind of like a VHS shell, this is a book that seemingly markets itself as a quote-unquote, because I don't like the word cheesy, or throwback kind of B-movie type book. And it is not really that at all. In fact, I needed my buddy Matt to kind of strongly recommend this book to me because I was gonna maybe skip it. But I should have never doubted Grady Hendrix because this is a heartfelt, a beautiful 80s set possession, satanic panic story. 2 young girls, 2 high school girls, their friendship kind of at the center of this, and they like the back and forth of like of intense young female friendships, falling outs, and things like that, just rendered through this awesome hodgepodge of John Hughes and William Peter Blatty, like, stewing together. It's a book that has heft and weight to it, and emotion, and nice characters, but still has that kind of great 80s flavoring, but it's not just set dressing. It like makes sense that this story is set in the 80s, and I think that is the most important part and most successful part of the book, is that it's not just a, you know, nostalgia fest of like, oh, remember Popples? Like, it's not that. It's this book has a very specific reason for being set when it's set, and it's actually a very interesting kind of conflicted time in American history. So I really, really recommend My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Our next book on this list is Beneath by Christy DeMeester, and I hope I'm saying that right. I may be butchering it, but Beneath is a straight-up Southern Gothic story. It is very reminiscent of stuff like Michael McDowell and actually one of my favorite books of all time, Choir of Ill Children by Tom Piccirilli. It prominently features snake handling, and it's got a priest who's had a crisis of faith. It's got kind of all the great hallmarks of something that you're going to want to read sitting out on the porch, a tall glass of sweet tea as you kind of flip through these pages, feeling this North Carolina town out. It's a great book, a quick read if you're a little bit squeamish about snakes. It has some of the better descriptions, better snakesploitation descriptions I feel like I've ever read with these diamondback snakes. It's pretty great. It's pretty cool. But if that's like if the skeeve factor gets to you too much, probably not the book on the list for you. The third book on this list, I'm going to kind of break with tradition. It's only available as an audiobook, so it's kind of hard to even count as a book. It's just this kind of radio play type thing. It's called The Narrow Caves by S. Craig Zahler. If you might know that name if you like horror film. You might know that name as the writer-director of Bone Tomahawk. Probably, for my money, one of the best horror movies of the last 5 or 6 years. Probably the best one. It's released by Cinestate, and they're calling this an audio state, but it's kind of just a fancy word for like a full cast audio production of basically a movie script, because it's 3 hours long. It's a very quick listen. This is something that if you're going to the beach, you can listen to kind of in one day, and I would recommend going all the way through, because it is a little bit dense, and it's not the kind of book or mind movie that spoon feeds you everything. And the ending, which I'm guessing a lot of people are going to be along for the ride for the whole thing, and then the ending might throw a couple of people because they're going to be like, what? I didn't think we were going to get this. But the ending's my favorite bit. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. Will Patton is the narrator. We've got Vincent D'Onofrio. We got another, like, the rest of the cast is like star-studded. You'll recognize names and voices and faces if you look them up. It's very cool, a very interesting thing. Like I said, just I think it's like $5 or $6. It's definitely worth it just to listen to this movie from the writer-director Bone Tomahawk. He's got a new novel coming out soon that I got an advanced copy of. Just read. It was really good. If you haven't read or seen him before, he's someone to watch. He's fantastic. Very, very talented, great writer. That's The Narrow Caves by S. Craig Zahler. The fourth installment on our list also breaks tradition a little bit, where I usually do these top 5 book lists. They're usually books of a similar, that hang in a similar genre, that hang in a similar age bracket. This is actually a YA book. This is a young adult book. It is marketed as a young adult book. It is The Merciless by Danielle Vega. And I know a lot of my my buddies and a lot of people in the horror community might be like, oh, why that's not for me, because they're so hardcore, these posers. But Danielle Vega's The Merciless, from like the second chapter, is brutal and smart and plays with its YA convention. I basically described it to a friend as Mean Girls meets Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door. And if you know Ketchum, you know that is a pretty hardcore book. And this book where we have mean Southern girls torturing one girl because they think she's possessed, but also she like slept with one of their boyfriends. So it's like are they really trying to have an exorcism, or are they really just torturing this girl? It's kind of like a twist a minute, really, really quick read, really, really fun, even though it's brutal and sick. The Merciless, I really recommend it. I know it's like a trilogy. There are 2 other books. I haven't read the other 2 books. This one stands perfectly well on its own. I don't think you need to go read the whole trilogy. I probably will at some point because I enjoyed The Merciless so much. But it's one of those things, don't look at it and see that it's a trilogy and think that you're going to get some kind of cliffhanger, because you really don't. The last official book on this list is City Infernal by Edward Lee. I don't know that I've actually talked about the work of Edward Lee before on the show. He is one of the preeminent, one of the most famous, most cringe-inducing, hardcore, extreme horror writers. I really do like a lot of his work. I love some of his work, but the stuff that for me is the best is when he was working with mass market publishers and kind of having to rein his like craziness in a little bit. And City Infernal has plenty of grossness and craziness and just disgusting stuff, but it's not on a insane level with his small press stuff. So I would say if you're new to Edward Lee, if you want to bake out in the sun and feel the fires of hell licking at you as you read, I would heartily recommend City Infernal. It is basically Edward Lee's fantasy novel where a girl gets transported to hell and just basically goes on a tour and sees what Ed Lee's version of hell is like. It is a great read. It's the book on this list that I've like read the longest ago, so I really don't remember it. It has a couple sequels. I read those too. I read it back when there were leisure paperbacks of it. I kind of want to, after even talking about it, I kind of want to pick it up again and reread it because Lee is great and it's my favorite of his books. That's it for the official list. Those are kind of summary themed reads. I have 2 more for you though. The first is Year's Best Hardcore Horror Volume 2. This is put out by Comet Press. I have a story in this, which is why I'm not officially putting it on the list, because nepotism, right? Michael Arn's in, Tim Wagner, Tim Miller, Brian Smith, Alexandra Wenwick. We just got a lot of great authors in here, a lot of people that you should be reading, and it's just a nice sampler pack, and it's a really nice, they did a good job with this. This is my contributor's copy. I gotta get more to sell at cons. This is really nice. But they did a great job with this, Comet Press. If you're into the icky stuff, that's got it in abundance. My story's not too crazy, but, you know. And also, if you've been waiting for it, I know I get messages about it like once a week. Hey, I see Exponential is only available in ebook. Where's the paperback? Here it is, guys. If you like dead trees and you want to read my novel Exponential, it is now out in paperback. Links, as with everything, are in the description. That's it for the list. Have a great summer. Please tell me what you're reading. Please tell me if there's anything that's super summary that I may have missed. Let's have a suggestion party, a nice summer party. I'll bring the Kool-Aid in the comments section. I'm Adam Caesar. If you want to check out my work without buying it, you can go join my email list. If you like this video, please hit like. If you really like this video, I have a bunch more like it. I do movie reviews with always come with a book recommendation, and you can go check out my other videos and subscribe and enjoy. But don't stay inside too long. Enjoy that nice summer weather. Bye.